Citizen Talks is a podcast series brought to you by TRT World Citizen, featuring discussions with humanitarians and activists, artists, and changemakers, exploring the global humanitarian issues that shape our society and the world at large. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Citizen Talks. I am your host, Minkailu, and we are here today with Reshad Strik. You know him from films like Don't Look Up and Turkish series such as New Member of the Family in English and Hard Jobs, and more than that. Reshad, thank you so much for joining us here today. We're very glad to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So I want to get started because you've got a very interesting story. So I kind of want to get a sense of your journey here. So I want to get started with your kind of origins in the film industry. How did you get started working in films initially?
Okay, so, I was just growing up in Australia. I'm Australian, born in Australia. My father's Bosnian. Growing up in Australia, something attracted me to cameras, and I really loved cameras. And just went down the line. I ended up getting into acting school. I graduated from acting school. It's university in Australia. I did 4 years, co-op theatre, short films, and just got into TV and then ended up in Hollywood, working in Hollywood, being very successful in Hollywood. And from there, I love cinema. I love storytelling, I love cinema. So it just sort of went hand in hand.
Okay, so you go to Hollywood. For most actors, I think Hollywood is that's the dream, right? That's the place that you want to be. But you, at some point, decided to leave. What was it that caused you to make that decision?
It was it's just day in, day out, working, auditioning, and there was things that were going my way that were not exactly my type of films that I wanted to act in, and it was just very hard to find a job in what was in line with my morals, Islamic morals, and it just didn't really work out. So I wanted to get married, and as a young Muslim, every young man wants to get married, because marriage is part of your
right.
Your life. You want to share time with a woman. So I was 28 at the time when I decided that I wanted to leave Hollywood, and Hollywood was amazing for work. I wanted to get married, so I couldn't really find a wife in Hollywood. Just wasn't working out for the obvious reasons. So I went to my father's birth city, Sarajevo, and it was meant to be. I got married there, and my marriage lasted for 12 years.
Yeah.
We got divorced last year, but we got 3 beautiful kids, and that's the most important thing.
I'm just curious. This is like a personal kind of question, in relation to Hollywood. Do you find that there's sort of a very kind of clear agenda that they're trying to push? You said that there was some misalignment in terms of the values with the things that you were, the opportunities that were available. Is there something kind of sinister that's working in the background in Hollywood that you found that was kind of, you were just, I can't do that, I can't touch that, that's not something I can be involved in?
Well, it's really interesting that the majority of media is what sells. So what a film needs to sell, a reclam, a commercial needs to sell, a lipstick, a product, any single product needs to sell. And the best way to sell things is through sex. And to show a woman and uncover a woman and have a man and woman, successful woman, and needs to be successful man, successful woman. That's the ingredients of marketing that unfortunately devalues human identity. Degenerates us. So there's absolute agenda there for what's successful, for what people want. Unfortunately, humanity is lowered its value so much to eat that stuff, to consume it.
Yeah. Understood. So for me, I'm also an individual. Actually, we were talking about this. I'm an individual who grew up in the West, but my father's from a different place. He's from West Africa, and I'm curious about. You mentioned again a bit what your motivations were in going to Bosnia, but I'm curious about what that experience was like. Growing up in a different country, sort of transitioning now back to Bosnia, the land of your ancestors, so to speak. What was that experience, for you?
I think I really do think I had depression. To be honest. No, to be honest. I know we want a positive fairy tale, but
Sure,
no. I got to Bosnia from Los Angeles, and I had internet on my phone, in Los Angeles, and I could do things on. And I got to Bosnia, and I didn't have. Not that they didn't have internet, they didn't have like proper cell coverage, mobile phone coverage.
Yeah.
So, I gave up using a phone for a year.
Yeah.
It was actually liberating.
Yeah.
Because I got to read books, I got to focus on myself, I got to communicate, and that was good. But I mean, there's a lot of things in Bosnia that were very far behind at the time.
What years were you there?
I got there in 2010.
Okay.
And I stayed on and off until nowish.
Okay.
So I've been coming and going, but back then it's a different world.
Yeah.
Deep in the Balkans. So,
did you find at least that the sort of values that you were encountering there kind of were more aligned with what you were seeking?
Yeah. So it's completely different once again. So I'm an actor, and actors. I believe actors. Actors. They withdraw their acting skills from a toolbox of experiences. If you can understand.
Yeah.
That. So. If I was just staying in Hollywood, auditioning every single day, I don't feel those experiences. So I really wanted to get out and put myself in dangerous situations where I get to taste real life, and that's what I really missed about life. In Australia I had that, traveling the world I have that, but staying in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, and just auditioning day in day out becomes so repetitious. And I was just craving to taste life again, to see life. So
okay. So what about specifically in the film industry, right? What's that transition like? What are some of the big differences between, let's say, the American film industry versus the Bosnian, and then even now the Turkish? What are perhaps the benefits, the challenges?
All right, so Bosnian film industry doesn't really exist. I mean, there's an amazing festival, the Sarajevo Film Festival, but basically it's not my type of festival because it's just a party festival, really. The whole region come there from neighboring countries just to drink alcohol, and it has an amazing reputation for that summer festival.
Interesting.
And I've never really participated in that festival. I had a short film in that festival, but I don't really attend that festival and like it for those reasons of parties and that sort of stuff. It just goes against my, what I like. So, plus the film industry in Bosnia only make 0.7 films a year, so it's really, really small industry, very tight industry, and I get sick of watching Bosnian films because the narrative was so much victimized, and my type of storytelling is, I like an experience where a positive change happens, and I think that's what people need in life, in cinema. You want to see a positive change, and not just a negative, and that's what I think the ingredient is in Bosnia to make a film that's a victim. And it gets to a festival and is successful, but I just don't believe that. I'd like to see better cinema. I'd like to see better stories, a positive change, and that's my type of storytelling.
Okay.
In terms of Turkey is just crazy. I mean, there's no country in the world like Turkey, really. I mean, the cinema sector here, cinema sector all around the world is slowly decreasing, and we're obviously turned to online services. But the amount of content that Turkey is producing and exporting is ridiculous.
I think they're number 2 in the world, maybe.
It's ridiculous.
It's quite insane. Yeah.
It's amazing. I
And
mean,
each episode, even of a show, is like an entire movie length.
it's really it's crazy. But I think Turkey has a lot of room to grow. I mean, I think also with the storytelling in Turkey, they see something successful, like a format that happens, and then every single producer is copying it. Every single channel is copying that.
Yeah.
And I just think it just becomes so repetitious and does not allow growth. I would like to see in Turkish television sector a shorter format and a better arc, better legs with better legs with the story to take off for. So that I just feel like I'm seeing the same story over and over. Ertuğrul, Osman,
Right.
Nizam al-Mulk, this Salahuddin. It just feels like it's the same.
Yeah. How would you qualify the sort of subject matter of most Turkish, media content? What would you like, this historical kind of identity sort of based series or?
Okay, so you have history. Everyone loves history. Right? Everyone just loves to go back to a world that's out of their world.
Right.
I think that's the reason why tourism works so well in Istanbul and Turkey.
Yeah,
because you come to Istanbul, and you see these minarets, and you see these domes, and you see these streets, and you see these old castles, and it takes you to a fairy tale. It takes you to Disneyland.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So I think that's why what people want. People want the experience. So I think Ertuğrul really set up an amazing foundation for that. But I just don't believe that the other TV shows have just gone up on the stairs, on the next level. I don't believe we've gone up. I just believe that it's the same. I would like to see personally. I would like to see more. I mean, you're touching three amazing topics, right? You have religion, you have history, and you have culture. All right? And these things have not been celebrated in the last 100 years of Turkish history. Yeah. So to see these actually around the world, you can say that around the world because there's so many. I mean, Pakistan does not have India. All Indonesia, they don't have their Africa. I mean, we don't have our own content where protagonist is a Muslim and a hero. It just doesn't. It doesn't sell. Yeah. They weren't allowed to sell, and they'd be bombed from any way possible. But Ertuğrul managed to do it and opened up the door and opened up the market and sold all around the world. And mashallah, it was an amazing success.
Yeah. So I want to get specifically into some of your more like documentary-ish kind of work, specifically. For our listeners actually who aren't familiar with your programs, can you tell us a bit about the series New Member of the Family and also the series Hard Jobs?
Okay, so it's really interesting. I got offered maybe 8 years ago to do this job, A New Member of the Family, and it was we did our first episode in Nepal. And the concept was very unclear to me, what we're doing. It's a real typical, documentary, it's documentary, low budget. And I was very unclear, and I wanted to leave the project. And I was really sick of working with Turkish producers because nothing was ever clear. Payment was never clear. It was all just a mess. And, but I have love for some projects. And this project, I just like traveling,
Yeah.
And it was very, very low budget, very low pay. And I got in a lot of fights with my ex-wife about it and because of pay. And I kept saying, no, I'm going to do this. I love this. It's my passion. This is my passion. And I think that came through on the screen, because I was doing it for love, Yeah. I was living, the concept is basically living with families all around the world that make less than a few dollars a day. And they have the most craziest jobs in the world. And they have the most amazing families, amazing villages. And, this was just it was a blessing for me to see other cultures, other religions, learn about history, learn about people, learn about my religion, in different countries. It was a blessing. Hard Jobs is, so we ended up wrapping up the New Member of the Family after working I think, 60 episodes over 6 years.
Oh, wow.
And then we decided that we would just focus on a new documentary series that's called Hard Jobs. And the reason why we wanted to do this is we wanted to see about, we wanted to just step away from the family issue for a little bit and wanted to push myself to see how I can work the world's hardest jobs, like really, and just to be next to these people that are working these jobs and just be in their shoes for a day and to feel, go through what they go through, experience what they experience. And Hard Jobs, Zorlu İşler, it's an amazing experience for me because, I'm pushing myself, and it's the first time I'm actually speaking Turkish. Yeah, we're using my Turkish this time, so it's something that I really want to do because I love this experience. I love to speak Turkish and to bond, especially bond with these people, these workers, that are doing the jobs that we are so we don't value these jobs at all, but these jobs make our world turn around. So thankful for these people.
So, if you could kind of maybe share with us some nuggets of wisdom here, what kind of what did you discover, especially with a new member of the family? What did you discover in this exploration of everyday people's lives from so many places all over the world? What kind of impact do you think that had on you ultimately?
I really discovered that to be thankful for what I have, the health I have. Say alhamdulillah and be very thankful for everything that's been blessed to me, and to remind other people to be thankful for. I really woke up, seeing these poor villages, people no water. I'm no water, not drinking water, not drinking water, zero water, no electricity. People that are working with chemicals to bind minerals together so they can sell the minerals, and they're making so little money and they can't afford to make a change in their life, So to be thankful that, I can step into any job in my life and do anything from being a butcher to garbage man or something like that. Alhamdulillah, that'd be amazing compared to what some people are actually facing in today's society.
Yeah. So do you feel that, if you're sort of juxtaposing people in that circumstance versus people in the average, let's say, relatively developed country doing, white collar, blue collar jobs, pretty comfortable with their lives, what would you say is like the main difference in character between those two groups? Did you find any stark sort of contrast where you were there in a very sort of low development type of area, and then you come to a more developed country and people are so different in some perspectives, some attitudes?
It's super interesting that people that have everything are so ungrateful. And people that have everything are so sad and always want something better, want to go to another country.
Right.
Once the grass is greener, so they want more blessings. They want more material world. They think, and these people that have nothing are so happy.
Yeah.
They're so shukr. They're so alhamdulillah. They're so thankful for what they have.
Yeah.
And smiling. And so, down to earth, modest. It was a shock for me, really.
Yeah.
So, there are a lot of countries that I went to. Sorry. So there was a lot of countries that I went to where, I couldn't help but cry, It touched my heart in ways that I'm thinking, how is this possible? Where are we? 2024 now. Where did we come?
Yeah. I've had a similar experience actually myself, versus being in the United States versus going back to the villages in Africa and my family's country specifically. And you definitely get this sense of they're more at peace with their lives. They're, of course there's things that they would like. They see things on, TV, etc., and they're like, oh, that looks nice. But generally speaking, they're quite satisfied with their lives, and except for maybe wanting to have better access to clean water, things of that nature, they're very happy. And you go to, you know, a country where people have everything and they're not satisfied, you know, with their lives.
It's
and
crazy. The psychology of that is so crazy.
it is strange. It is strange. But that's the world that we live in, I think, in 2024 now, I guess. I'm curious if you feel like you gained any specific insights into the nature of social inequality, generally speaking. Like, you've been to many different places, right? But global inequality kind of looks the same, I feel like, in all over the world. You know, the haves versus the have-nots. Did you notice anything in particular? Was there anything that kind of struck you about the nature of poverty versus opulence, or anything of that ilk?
Yeah, you know, poverty sucks.
Yeah.
Right? It really sucks. And it's not just poverty in terms of materials, poverty in terms of education, poverty in terms of, I really believe that there's a lot of people in Turkey that need to accept that they have an amazing life here. And it really rubs a bad note with me that when they're just dreaming about going to anywhere, they'll go to anywhere. They'll go to Greece. They'll go to...
Yeah.
And I'm like... They go to America, you know. You're from America,
Yeah.
so you know how many homeless people, the
Yeah.
American dream of these homeless people. You know about this.
Yeah.
So when you see this, then it really rattles your brain. That you start to think, how these people are hustling. They're hustling for the American dream.
Yeah.
I just think we just need to, count our cards and say thank you, alhamdulillah, and really enjoy what we've been given.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been here for 6 years now, and I do get this sense often that Turks sometimes have this idea that everything that's bad is only bad in Turkey, and it's everywhere else it's like completely opposite, and it's really going to be great. And having seen the opposite, I know that there's a sort of lifestyle here that's not achievable for many people in other countries, in Europe, in America, in Australia. There's a sort of a peace and a comfort that you can have here. The family structure being stronger, things of this nature, which are really crumbling in other nations, and it makes me sad sometimes to see that people, they're not recognizing it. Maybe it's just because they haven't necessarily seen it or anything, they haven't experienced it. But
yeah, absolutely. I think definitely, and this goes with global humanity. When people travel, they become very, very rich in the brain. The best Americans that I know are the ones that travel, the most open-minded ones, and you can actually have a conversation with them about Israel and Philistine and Palestine. You can actually have a conversation with them. A lot of people you can't have conversations with, and they're open to talking. The ones that travel. So, I mean, unfortunately, I wish for more Turks to travel so they get to see and get to understand what they have. I remember when doing a new member of the family, and we had these interns come with us one time, and we traveled. I think it was Cambodia or somewhere, and we just came back. And when we came back, these are like real secular kids. They were basically doing sujood, like sajda, just to see the roads and see it's wow. Istanbul is like outer space compared to where we were, and they really just did not value what they were given. And they're always talking bad against Turkey, and then when they see what they have and what traffic lights, everything, it's just like all organized system, infrastructure. They're blown away, and so once again I think traveling is the best form of education.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that the media has an impact on people's perspective as well in a big way. What kind of content do you think? Because I believe personally that Turkey has a big opportunity in terms of alternative forms of media content, etc. That can show people a kind of different reality, right? People see the content coming out of Hollywood and they think, wow, this lifestyle in America is so great, But as you say, it's got its negatives, and people, they look at their own situation and they become depressed. They're like, oh, it's not as good as it is over there, or I saw in this film or whatever. So considering that, like, what kind of content do you think, there's an opportunity perhaps here to produce that could help to maybe shift this understanding in the world, that could help people to sort of get that there's alternative value systems to those being shared by Hollywood, that there's different ways to live, there's stronger ways to live, right? We've done the Erzroll thing, we've done the history thing.
Okay, so first of all, I just want to say that okay, how to get them to watch TRT, because TRT has some great content.
Yeah.
It's amazing content.
Yeah.
It's amazing TV shows on CRT, amazing news, amazing
Podcasts.
No, really, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like your short online stuff gets shared all over the world. It's very successful.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the ignorance of the more secular side of Turkey, once they see TRT or TRT, they just boom, they just change, boom, they run,
Yeah.
they run like shaitan running from Islam, boom,
Yeah.
they run. Unfortunately, I think there needs to be better strategies in terms of accessing these youth, because the youth is very key. Youth is a big key in Turkey,
Right.
and I just think that to access them, there needs to be better ways, not just through TRT. There needs to be other ways of media, because sharing information and real stories, I think is the best way for the youth to experience, and also traveling. I think they're the two keys that are going to help shape the future.
Yeah. What's your dream project? Do you have any kind of concept that you're working on that you would like to do here, something that you think might solve some of these issues?
You know what? Cinema. I love cinema. I love TV shows, and I really think that I'm producing this TV show, Zorlu İşler, Hard Jobs, and I just think to make a film in the next year would be a dream for me to come true. Also, we're working on a TV show. Got a couple of TV shows that we're working on in terms of development, and it'd be to get them off the ground would be amazing.
Okay.
Inshallah.
So something that some of the listeners here might not know, you participated this past year in our humanitarian film festival, an event that World Citizen has every year, where we sort of highlight humanitarian films that are focused on global humanitarian issues, different crises that are going on, different forms of inequality, etc. I'm curious, what do you think the film industry or media in general has to contribute to the issue of human rights and the various humanitarian crises that we see around the world today? Not specifically necessarily documentary, but even creative films, right? Why do you think it might be important for filmmakers to focus on these kinds of subjects? What type of impact can they have?
Okay, so I've been a jury I was a jury 2 times, 2 other film festivals after the TRT World Forum, and you know what? All of them were basically humanitarian, and I think humanitarian is the way to go in terms of storytelling, because it's very primal, and you can see a real change straight away. So I saw this one film in the TRT documentary film festival, the last festival that we had, and it was about Russian disabled Olympics, and it really, the Paralympics, and it really touched me that just a simple way on storytelling. I wanted to get more involved with these disabled people who are not giving up on life, and that are having a go in life, and it was very, very touching.
Yeah.
Hence, I didn't know about that story, So I think that the fact that they made this in Russia, I mean, there was a little bit of a political, agenda there with Russia not being able to access not participate in the Paralympics, but still, it's their story, and they have every right to tell their story. So, I just really felt about these people, these kids, and they were training and don't get a chance. So I came out of the cinema saying, you know what, I want to connect with these people. I want to go visit these people, So I think if any story you're going to tell, and I think it should be mainly a primal subject, because if you're telling something about something that doesn't matter, it might matter to you, but it's not going to matter to a wider audience, a wider market. The story is not going to be that well accepted. It won't be that well appreciated. It won't be marketed that well. But if you tell a story that's primal, tell a story that really means something, I think you can touch hearts more, and I think it has a place in the market.
Yeah.
So I would like to, personally. I mean, I love that. I love the TRT World Citizen Film Festival. I think so many good films there.
Yeah, there were.
And I came out. It was about 3 of them. I was just like, wow. Like 3 of them were just killed me. Really killed me. And I got in contact with these producers and that. And it said, after at the film festival, I saw them and I congratulated them. They really moved me. So I think if you're going to make a film, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have any, I guess you would call it advice for young people who are thinking about getting into the film industry? There's a way you should go, things you should avoid.
Yeah, absolutely. So the main thing I can say is that it doesn't matter about your camera. It doesn't matter too much about your sound. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have the perfect setup. The main thing, the rule number 1 is finish it. Finish your film. If it's going to be a short film, finish it. Doesn't matter how bad it is. Doesn't matter because there's so many bad short films that get out there, that they submit on to the platforms like Film Freeway, and then they'll find a home eventually. Like someone will pick it up and say, yeah, I want this in my film festival. So the main thing is just finish it. If you're going to actually work on something and you're going to film it and it's going to sit there on your hard disk and you're not going to edit it, you don't do it. Just finish it. Put it together. Do it for. You don't know whose life is going to change from that. Finish it and find a home for it. So I think that's the main thing. Because majority of filmmakers, they just don't finish. They don't finish. I'm subject to that. I'm also I'm in the same thing. I'll write a script and then I'll get notes and then I don't follow up on the notes and then I just leave it, I shelve it, and I'm a sucker to that. I just, if you can finish it, then move on to the next one.
Okay. So as you know, we have some very tight constraints on our time today. So I guess we'll have to bring it to a close. Before we do, is there anything that you want to tell our audience in terms of how they can connect with you, where they can watch some of your stuff, where they should be looking for you next, this kind of thing?
Okay, so at the moment we have our TV show on TRT Belgesel. So that's TRT documentary in Turkish, TRT Belgesel. And I'm sure everything's going to be on Tabi. A new member of the family is already on Tabi. I'm not sure if there's English subtitles. I hope there is. And it's fascinating. A new member of the family was such a blessing and amazing experience for me because I just got to travel the world and got to work crazy jobs, got to live life, and it was incredible. So you can find it there on Tabi. It's the Turkish platform, TRT platform for digital content. And soon I'm hoping we will make a film in the next year, and we hope we find a place for that.
Wonderful. Any last words for the audience? Anything you want to leave us with? Yeah,
I just think, really, guys, if you can, Gaza and Philistine is a very, very important subject right now. And just for those people who are not sharing content, because we can't do anything. If we speak up too much, we will be targeted. And that's just the way the world works. So if you can do anything at all, is talk about Gaza, talk about the Israeli occupation, talk about America giving support to the Israeli occupation, talk about this stuff to as many people as you can, make it your daily conversation, and also share on social media about the genocide that is happening today in Gaza.
Yes, most definitely, guys. It makes a difference. The narratives are crumbling. It's a new day. This is something that I've never seen in my lifetime. We've been dealing with this issue for decades. You know, I remember being one of the few people standing on the campus and screaming students for justice in Palestine, this kind of thing. No one wanted to hear a word of it, but finally, for the first time, the narrative is falling apart. The Israeli narrative it's falling apart. People are realizing that it's not as it's been told, and this is the time to keep pushing. Most definitely,
because they own the media. Because they own the media.
Oh, well, yeah.
And you know, as many things as we share, that they'll censor us, they'll shadow ban us, they'll try to block us, but please, the more we share, the more it's going to get out there. The more it gets out there, the better chance we have of people understanding what is actually happening on the ground there.
Yeah.
And it's super important because so many kids are there. So many kids are getting killed. So many kids are getting taken. So many women are getting killed. I mean, innocent civilians. And it's just absurd. It's absurd that the world is watching and no one is doing anything except Yemen.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. That's a great final note, really. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Reshad Strik. We're very happy that you could be with us today. You could share these words with us. We will look out for your new work coming in the near future. And for all of our listeners, please join us again next time for another episode of Citizen Talks.